Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the second video for our midterm coverage, and that will be responsibility accounting and transfer pricing. Okay, so when I introduced to you strategic cost management, I said that the manager's role is post-decon, right? Post-decon. This is a well-known mnemonics kung saan it states that a manager or the role of a manager is to plan, organize, staff, direct, and control. Okay, so managers also are responsible for making a decision. So sabi nga nila, decisions forge an organization. So also I mentioned earlier na making decisions could either be centralized or decentralized. This is centralized happens when the decisions rest only to the top management, whereas decentralized organization is when the authority to make decisions are delegated to others, especially those who are responsible officers in different organizational levels. Okay? Sabi nga ni, if we put it into basketball context, sabi ni Michael Jordan, the greatest of all time basketball player, nung pinagalitan siya nung coach niya, "Hey Michael, there is no I in team." Diba? There is no I in team. Diba? Sabi nung coach niya. Alam mo sinagot ni Michael Jordan, sabi niya, "But there is I in win." Okay? So, yun na nga, either model, centralized man yan or decentralized, it could result to great, or it could produce great results, right? So the case with decentralized organization is that you have to trust others. So you are delegating the authority, thus you should trust those who are, or kung sino man yung dinidelegate, binibigyan mo ng authority. Okay? The advantage of delegating authority is that decisions are made faster. So pag may decision kayo, the actions are quicker and service becomes more satisfying to customers. Okay, and do not forget that when you delegate authority, okay, authority, pag sinabing authority, that is power, right? So pwede natin gamitin yung kasabihan, the great saying of Uncle Ben ni Spider-Man, na ngayon yung statement ng uncle niya, comes great power, comes great responsibility. But here in strategic cost management comes great authority, comes great responsibility, comes great accountability. Okay? Meaning, accountability, authority, responsibility, and accountability. So, authority is the power, sabi sa inyo, power to give orders. Okay? This the power or the power to give command, give instructions, to make decision. Of course, comes great authority, comes great responsibility. You have the duty to do or not to do. It is the duty to do or not to do. Okay? And when you are responsible for it, for doing your duty, then we are being accountable to the consequences of what have we done, or what has been done, or what has not been done, right? So authority without responsibility is absolute power, and of course absolute power corrupts absolutely. Responsibility without authority is yung sinasabi nilang blind obedience. Okay? So, remember that without accountability, there will be no compelling reason to evaluate performance fairly and objectively. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, accountability, pagiging accountable sa mga actions mo, is that is the main root why we are evaluating performance. Okay? So how do we evaluate performance? So in a decentralized organization structure, may tinatawag, kung decentralized yan, ibig sabihin may mga divisions. Ano pa? Mayroong mga departments, segments, and units. These are called responsibility centers. Okay? Itong apat na to, those are usually responsibility centers. Ano bang mga responsibility centers? A responsibility center, it could be an investment center, profit center, revenue center, and finally, cost center. Investment center is diyan pumapasok yung mga yung manager sa isang investment center, okay? Ang dinidecide niya, mga decision na pinagdi-decidean niya is usually strategic business opportunities. Strategic business opportunities, ibig sabihin strategy, mga long-term na mga plano, di ba? Business opportunities such as yung capital budgeting na diniscuss natin. And of course, mayroon tayong tinatawag na profit center. Under profit center, mayroon siyang tinatawag na revenue center and cost center. Profit center, the manager of a profit center controls the occurrence or non-occurrence of both revenue and cost. Okay? Kaya, ang tawag dito, meron siyang sub-centers such like revenue center. It is yung manager ng isang revenue center controls the generation of revenue, whereas, secondly, meron tayong tinatawag na cost center. Okay? And the manager of a cost center has a control or influence over the incurrence of cost. Okay? So, good example of a responsibility centers is, wag na tayong lumayo, Mindanao State University. Okay? Mayroon tayong tinatawag na president or the chancellor. And under chancellors, mayroon tayong mga vice chancellors, right? And under vice chancellors, okay, specifically, kasi since we are providing services, academic services, ang ating line, na-discuss natin to noong ating prelims, ang mga line employees natin are those from President, OVCAA, okay, OVCAA, and then down to the respective colleges and its respective departments. So for example, OVCAA, okay, OVCAA is an example of a responsibility center. Another responsibility center is, sabihin nating, colleges such as CBAA. Okay? Pwedeng tawagin natin siyang revenue center, cost center. Depende sa classification ng organization. So, you may refer to the Agamata book or kahit asang book na ginagamit nyo. Pwedeng makakita kayo doon ng mas appropriate or responsibility centers and the organizational structure of a responsibility center. Usually, those involved or in investment or yung kasali sa investment centers usually are the CEOs and the president of each division. And sa profit center is the vice president of every division. For example, Division A, meron siyang products na 1, 2, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 3. Okay? Yung vice president down to the production personnel, lahat yan under sa profit center. Okay? And yes, I mentioned kanina, yung sinabi ko na evaluation. Performance evaluation, and we are already done evaluating a manager qualitatively. Okay, I believe that we have discussed that thoroughly on our prelim coverage. Now, let's move on to performance evaluation quantitatively. Okay, a manager's performance should be evaluated in line with the established objectives of his center. So, different responsibility center, saan nga yun? This one, etong apat, 1, 2, 3, 4, should be evaluated differently in as much as the authority, responsibility, and accountability vary from each other. Okay? Yung evaluation for investment center is different sa evaluation or ang evaluation para sa manager ng isang investment center is different from the evaluation of a manager in a profit center and vice versa. Performance evaluation is, sabi ko nga, post-decon, tapos na tayo sa, usually sa accounting, ang talagang responsible ang isang management accountant is sa planning and controlling. Okay? Yung isang management accountant or managerial accountant sa planning and controlling. And basically, we have discussed planning and ngayon, we are now, I am introducing to you controlling. Okay? And I bet this would be your sa next management subject nyo next year. I mean next semester, inshallah. So, controlling. So, this will be an introduction. So, ulitin ko, performance evaluation is a matter of control. You are assessing based on reports submitted by the managers. So, another thing na kailangang tatandaan dito is yung performance ng isang manager that should be measured accordingly to the items or things that he or she has control with. Okay? So this is a summary of the responsibility manager and its respective evaluation technique. Cost center manager is evaluated using the cost variance analysis. Okay? Cost variance analysis. So here an example of a performance report in a cost center, or a performance report submitted by the manager of a cost center. Cost center manager. Okay? If you observe, cost variance analysis daw. And I don't know if you are familiar with the variances. Variances are either favorable or unfavorable. F or U, right? I hope alam nyo na to. I mean, na-meet nyo na to sa accounting 120 nyo. So, review lang natin. F, favorable variance means savings. Okay? And unfavorable variance means or indicates excessive cost. Okay? So, sir, mayroon ka bang mnemonic dyan? Yes, meron akong mnemonic dyan. That is CAUF or CAUF. Sir, ano pong CAUF yan? So, tatandaan natin before i-discuss ko yung CAUF na yan. A cost center manager has control or influence dun sa occurrence or incurrence or non-incurrence ng isang cost. Yung report niya dapat should be separated. I mean, the cost should be separated by controllable and non-controllable cost. Okay? And here, highlight natin or tuturo ko sa inyo itong mnemonic na CAUF. Okay? CAUF basically, yung C dyan, that is the budgeted amount. Sir, bakit po C? Dapat B. Kasi, meron tayong tinatawag na factory overhead control. I don't know kung na-meet nyo na yan sa accounting 120 nyo. Factory overhead control and factory overhead actual. So, ginagamit ko is C. Hindi to siya T account. Actually, para siyang table. Okay? Para siyang table. Here. So, for example, is this one. Itong miscellaneous. 44 for actual. 44 for actual. Susulat natin dito, 44. 44,000. And budgeted or yung C natin is 47,000. This one, guide lang naman to. Okay? But, general rule, i-memorize nyo anong ibig sabihin ng favorable and unfavorable. But this one, guide lang, baka kasi makalimutan nyo. Meaning, there is to equal this one, mayroong 3,000 dapat dito na variance. But, di natin alam kung unfavorable ba yan or favorable. So, dyan papasok si U at F. Sulat natin dito si U. And for this one is F. Okay? So, here, favorable dapat to. And this one, ito talaga yung ginagamit ko ever since na-discuss sa amin tong sa mga controlling part ng managerial accounting. Magsa-start yan sa mga standard cost, ganito, ganyan. Talagang yan yung ginagamit ko para hindi ako malito sa favorable at unfavorable. Si CAUF, okay? This CAUF applies to cost, okay? Cost only. Baka kasi gamitin niyo siya sa revenue. Okay? Sa cost lang siya ginagamit. Meaning CAUF CAUF is the mnemonic for cost. Or double check natin kung tama ba yung mnemonic ni sir. For 3,000 favorable dapat. So here, 3,000 favorable. And if you notice, naka-negative siya. Bakit siya sir naka-negative? Kasi naka-credit siya. Credit. And if you see notice, credit means net income and or savings. Okay, 'di ba? Savings, and if you have savings, usually ang pag-record niyan is on the credit side. Okay? Ito, hindi ko alam paano ko to ginawa or paano ko to na-imbento. Imbento ko lang to actually kasi I noticed na nalilito kasi ako paminsan or not always, hindi basta minsan, talagang always nalilito ako kung favorable ba or unfavorable. So, ginawa ko na lang tong CAUF and binase ko siya sa, of course, basic accounting ulit. Okay? Basic accounting ulit. Kasi favorable because income. Kaya nga to naka-negative kasi income yan. Or savings. Sa madaling salita, savings. Mayroon kang savings. And savings in accounting is recorded as increase in credit. Okay? So, kaya nasa credit side yung favorable. So, I hope that is understood. Next is revenue center manager. Is evaluated using the technique of revenue analysis. So, same case lang sa cost center manager na variance din yung ina-analyze natin or ginagamit natin to evaluate the performance of a revenue center manager. Okay? Ang i-compare lang natin is the actual and the budgeted revenue. Okay? The actual and budgeted revenue. But for this time, hindi na CAUF ang gagamitin natin. ACUF na. ACUF. Okay? Si ACUF. Sa revenue to. So, let's try. Try lang natin, ha. For example, you budgeted an amount of revenue or sa master budget, sabihin natin, nakalagay doon is makakakuha ka daw ng 85,000 na revenue, right? 85,000 na revenue. But the actual na revenue mo pala is 88,000. Okay? Ang ibig sabihin, favorable yan for the company, meaning not only may savings, but mayroon kayong favorable outcome na nangyari. Meaning, may 3,000 kayong favorable. Kaya, you may not use this, you may use this. Kung gusto nyo i-memorize, basta wag lang kayong malito kung ano ang favorable at unfavorable with respect to the company. Nakakalito to actually pag naging dalawang perspective na ibang dalawang divisions. Nakakalito yun actually. What is favorable to you may be unfavorable to others. So kaya eto, ginawa ko na lang yung ganito para hindi ako nalilito once upon a time when I was a college student. Yes, dun magiging mahirap. So next evaluation technique is the segment margin analysis for profit center managers. Profit center managers, as I said earlier, has control over the revenues and cost. Okay? Yung performance niya, the manager in a profit center, yung performance niya is evaluated based on the controllable margin. So, may bago tayong gagamiting term dito, which is the controllable margin. Controllable margin is the difference between the isulat na nga natin dito yung complete na formula, okay? Here is the formula. Hindi pa to kompleto. Mayroon pa akong maidadagdag dyan. Okay? So, controllable margin, yan ang ginagamit natin to evaluate the performance of the manager ng isang profit center. Okay? Whereas, segment margin, okay, is yan ang ginagamit to evaluate the performance of the center itself. Okay? Magkaiba. Sir, bakit po ganun? Kasi, sinabi ko na nga kanina, I will repeat, you are only accounted or evaluated dun lang sa bagay na controllable mo. So as a manager, yung controllable ko lang na cost, yun lang yung pwedeng or ini-evaluate sa akin. Bakit ako i-judge, sabi nila? Bakit ako i-judge sa bagay na wala naman sa control ko? Okay? So, yun ha. This one, controllable margin, is for the profit center manager evaluation, and segment margin is for the profit center evaluation. Ulitin ko, manager, center ulit. So, what is the complete formula dito? So here, if we deduct from segment margin the allocated fixed cost and expenses, makukuha natin yung tinatawag na operating profit. Operating profit, okay? So, review lang natin. Contribution margin, paano na nga ito makuha? Sales minus variable cost. Okay? Sales minus variable cost is equals to contribution margin less controllable, I will repeat, or I will put an emphasis to this, direct fixed cost and expenses is equals to controllable margin less non-controllable direct fixed cost and expenses, direct, okay, is equals to the segment margin. Okay, ang ibig sabihin pala nun, sir, ang difference ng segment margin at controllable margin is the non-controllable direct fixed cost. Sir, ano po ba tong allocated fixed cost? Allocated fixed cost is also known as the indirect fixed cost. Indirect fixed cost. Okay? Okay? I should also add na yung segment margin, ang ibang tawag dyan is the EBIT. Okay? EBIT or PBIT. Sir, ano pong ibig sabihin ng EBIT at PBIT? EBIT means earnings before income and taxes, or profit before income and taxes. Okay? That is the meaning of EBIT. That is the meaning of EBIT. So, ibig sabihin na ito palang allocated fixed cost and expenses, kasali pala dyan yung mga taxes and interest. Okay? Tama ba o hindi? Tama. So, if you want to check an illustration, you may refer to the book of Sir Agamata. Napakadali lang naman itong example niya, okay? Ito lang yung mamimit mo, lalagyan lang ng amounts. So, remember, ang contribution margin is equals to sales minus variable cost. And finally, we have investment centers. Investment centers, okay, ang mga frequently or commonly used evaluation techniques are as follows. First is return on investment. This is discussed on our capital budgeting. Sir, na-discuss na po? Yes, it is already discussed. Ito yung tinatawag nating accounting rate of return. Also, residual income model, which we will be discussing in this video discussion, and finally, EVA, or the economic value added technique. Itong tatlo yung common performance evaluation technique ng isang investment center manager. So of course, kailangan nating i-review yung ARR or ROI, or return on investment. Return on investment is usually or also known as the return on assets, okay, or the accounting rate of return. ROI na lang, ROI, mas sanay ako dyan eh. So, but here, specifically, ang gagamitin natin na ROI is the segment profit. Kung ano ang profit ng responsibility center na yon, okay? Or ng division na yon, kaya tinawag siyang segment profit over segment investment. So, if you want to increase your ROI, ito, usually mamimit nyo to sa multiple choice theory questions. If you want to increase the segment profit, okay, meaning you have to increase your profits, okay, for that segment and decrease the corresponding investment needed to the for the profit, okay, or to generate that profit, okay, para lumaki si ROI, okay. So what are the other formula? Kasi may mamimit talaga kayong mga problems na iba yung pag-compute ng ROI. So mayroon tayong tinatawag na DuPont model. Di ko alam. I don't know how to pronounce it. But DuPont model, DuPont model. So DuPont model states that return on investment is equals to the return on sales multiplied by the asset turnover. So paano po yan? Paano po makuha si return on sales asset turnover? Okay? Return on sales basically is the return on your sales. Ibig sabihin, income or profit over net sales. Net sales. Okay? Here it is. Okay? So, here, return on sales is equals to profit over net sales, and asset turnover is equals to net sales over the investment. Okay? So, if we cancel out the net sales, kasi nga, using algebra or mathematics, cancel out mo yung net sales na nasa denominator at numerator, lalabas yung original formula or equation natin na profit, ROI is equals to profit over investment. So once again, if you want to practice using this ROI, you may refer to the book of Sir Agamata. Itong mga example niya, hindi ko na i-discuss because I believe isang basahan na lang ito na maintindihan nyo na kasi naka-provide na yung formula. Inshallah, maintindihan nyo. Okay, so next is yung tinatawag nating residual income model. Okay, residual income model. So ano po yan? So, ang ROI, mayroon siyang limitasyon. One of its limitation is it is not considering the lifespan of the asset. Ulitin ko. Under the ARR or the return on investment, it is not considering the lifespan of the assets. So, kung may dalawang kumpanya, okay, mayroong kumpanya na for 2 years nag-earn siya ng 50% ng mayroon siyang return on investment na 50% for 1 year. Okay? Whereas another company mayroon siyang return on investment na 10%, okay? But for 15 or 20 years. Okay? Imaginein mo 'yun. Yung isa 50% pero 2 years lang. Yung isa naman 10% yung return on investment but 20 years. So which one is better? Yung matagalan, di ba? Mas malaki yung maibabalik sa'yo overall if we consider the lifespan of the investment. Kaya dyan pumasok yung tinatawag na residual income model. Residual income model is a technique or is a model where ROI is improved. It uses the amount as a basis of evaluating the acceptance of a prospective investment. So, in other words, residual income is equals to the segment income less minimum income, okay, is equals to the residual income. Sir, paano po makukompute si minimum income? Minimum income is computed by investment multiplied by the IRR. Okay? IRR or the implied interest rate. Baka malito kayo, baka sabihin nyo yung IRR na internal rate of return sa capital budgeting. But implied interest rate is yan na yung sinasabi nating cost of capital. Okay? Or the cost of capital. But remember, it is pre-tax. Pre-tax cost of capital. Okay? So, yan lang ang kailangan yung i-memorize. So, basically, sa subject na to or topic na to, more on memorizing the formulas. Okay? Kailangan kabisado nyo tong mga formula na pinoprovide ni sir. Okay? So, yung kaninang sabi ko, segment income is also referred to as the EBIT or the earnings before interest and tax. Okay? Yung kaninang sinabi ko na dito, hindi pala to tama. Okay? Dapat magkaiba kasi segment margin sa segment income. Okay? Magkaiba sila. Magkaiba pala yun. So here, segment income is siya ang tinatawag nating EBIT. Okay? So tatandaan lang dito is whenever there is a positive amount of residual income, ang ibig sabihin nun, maganda ang performance. Okay? It only means that the the investment center manager has achieved its or performed well sa kaniyang responsibility center. Okay? So, once again, if you want to watch, you may refer to the example of Sir Guerrero kasi hindi ko na talaga i-discuss kasi napakadali lang nitong basta't basahin nyo lang, magma-minus lang. Tatandaan nyo lang tong formula. Basically, yung mga questions dito is more on theoretical. Okay? Unlike dun sa transfer pricing, talagang may question dun na mayroong mga tanong dun na kailangan talagang mag-solve. Okay? And next, and the final, frequently used. Okay, marami actually yung pwedeng evaluation technique. But ito yung mga common na ginagamit. Next is the economic value added. The economic value added evaluation technique is a technique where is another technique na mas in-improve yung residual income model. Okay? Sa residual income model kasi, hindi kinukonsider yung tinatawag nating tax. Sa EVA, kinukonsider yung ating tax. Okay? Kinukonsider yung ating tax. If you remember, as I said earlier, segment income is equals to EBIT or PBIT. Okay? Here sa EVA na lang. Okay? Sa EVA ka na lang. Sa EVA is instead na EBIT ang gagamitin natin, i-consider natin yung tax. Okay? I-consider natin yung tax. Because sa isang business, ang profit ng isang business is kasali dapat yung, kasali sa decision making ng isang company is yung tax. Okay? So basically, this is a much improved version of residual income. So here is the formula. NOPAT, or net operating profit after tax, less minimum income is equals to economic value added. And also reminder, sa minimum income, mag-change na din yung ating formula. Instead na pre-tax siya, gagamitin na natin is the after-tax. The after-tax cost of capital. Okay? So, anong ibig sabihin nun kung after-tax? If it is after-tax, usually, WACC na ang ginagamit. The weighted average. This is discussed sa ating capital budgeting na topic. Kaya yun ang inuna ko actually. Para mas madali nyo itong maintindihan. The average cost of capital. Kung matatandaan, sa weighted average cost of capital, basically, doon sa debt, okay? Sa debt, ang kanyang cost of capital, okay, is after tax, di ba? Kino-consider natin yung tax. Kaya WACC yung ginagamit dito. So, you may refer to once again, you may refer to the problem ni Sir Agamata, yung basic na sample problem niya, which is napakadali lang. Inshallah, madali lang ninyo maintindihan. Makikita nyo lang is lalagyan lang ng amounts itong example niya. Of course, and if you notice, sa book ni Sir Agamata, mayroong tinatawag na market value. Yung EVA natin is magkakaiba siya ng investment base. Okay? This one, nagkakaiba-iba yan. Okay? Magkakaiba-iba yan. So, you may skip ahead but watch our transfer pricing chapter. So, ang investment is mayroong mga investment bases yan. Okay? And the most or the best investment base is yung tinatawag nating market value of long-term financing. Ano ba yung mga bases na yan or base? Isusulat ko. First is market value of long-term financing. Okay? This is considered as the best investment base. Okay? Pag may makita kayo at mamimili kayo dito, piliin nyo is the market value of the long-term financing because you are considering the market value of the business investments. Okay? Sir, ano pong pinagkaiba ng market value of long-term financing sa market value of total assets? Here, if you refer to the sample problem of Sir Agamata, here, ang ibig sabihin ng long-term financing, kung magkano daw yung pinang-finance para doon sa investment na yon, yun ang ilalagay mo na amount. Whereas dito sa market value of total assets, lahat ng total assets mo yung ilalagay mo dito. Okay? Even though naka-market value siya. Okay? So, I guess that will be all for our responsibility accounting. So, please watch our transfer pricing kasi yan yung medyo may mga solving na part. Ito talaga, more on theoretical and more on formulas. Kaya medyo madali itong responsibility accounting. I hope marami kayong naintindihan for this video discussion. Please watch the second part of this video discussion which will tackle about transfer pricing. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, asyhadu an la ilaha illa ant, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Thank you very much.